Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you, family. Grand rising, my vibrations. Today, you are tuned in to day 7 of the Sajdah Deca Fest, and we're going to be talking about unity and pooling our resources. So, grab your coffee. I'm working out of my love cup this morning. Grab your coffee, like, subscribe, tell a friend, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible... And I'm saying this to all of us. Our people are ready to spend their money with their own. There's no time better than this for 6 or 8 of you to pool your money and look in the community and open up a store to fulfill the needs of our people, and we will support you. It's your time now. That's being a man. Supporting your own people that are in business. Going into business yourself. Think out of the box. What can you create that will put black people to work?
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to day 7 of the Sajdah Deca Fest. How is everyone doing this morning? I pray that you are doing well. Sending each and every one of you lots of love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so very grateful for my life, for what Allah is doing with me and teaching me to be an independent thinker, right? I always joke about how my advisor, when I'm going through something, I can't reach him. But once I get through it, then we talk and it's a fabulous conversation. And then if I'm really non-emotional, I go back and I realize that it was some guidance that he gave me that I ended up just walking into, and that all I had to do was just kind of go back and pull on that guidance. So I'm grateful for that. Just so very grateful. Very, very grateful. This morning on day 7 of Deca Fest, we're going to talk about unity and pooling our resources. Okay. Both of which have been a challenge for us. They've been a challenge for us logistically. I was having a conversation with my good friend Rhyme Fest yesterday, and we were talking about the geographical challenges that we have to be conscious of in order to facilitate unity among us. We're talking about how we don't live around each other. We don't communicate enough. And so some of those geographical challenges that can even help when it comes to managing our communities, our blocks, educating our children, For those of you who don't know, he's running for Chicago School Board. So we're just having that conversation. I hope that if you're in Chicago in that district that you vote for Brother Che Rhymefest. And he's got some events coming up that I'll let you guys know a little bit about. I may invite him to the show. The only thing is if I invite Che to the show, it'll be a 5-hour show. Not because of him, but because we be vibing, we just be talking. So shout out to him and Heather, his wife Heather. May Allah bless them and their endeavors and all that they do. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about pooling our resources, which is also a challenge for a lot of us. And before we do that, though, I want to take a moment to do a quick, just 2-minute meditation where I want everybody who's watching, everybody in the chat, everybody who's on the line, everybody who's looking, to just focus on our unity. Focus on putting out any fires that exist between us. Focus on putting down any hatred. Focus on love. Focus on settling any differences. Focus on navigating through the trauma. So let's just take about 2 minutes. And I know for a lot of us, that is very difficult because we don't often sit with ourselves. Part of reaching higher levels of thinking and going inside of yourself and kind of just learning and figuring out who you are and requires that we learn to sit with ourselves. Okay, so we're going to sit with ourselves right here on the show for about 2 minutes. Okay, let me get my timer here and put us up for 2 minutes. And I want us to just think about unity and pooling our resources. All right, I want you to think about unity and pooling our resources. Pooling our resources meaning that we learn to come together, that we learn to unite. Turn that sound off there. But whatever that means to you, and I specifically want us to think about putting out any fires between us, settling any differences. Just let go of whatever has happened to you in the past, whatever somebody's done to you. Learn from it, shine light on it, and move around it. That doesn't mean that you're going to fall right back into that same situation. You know better now. And since you know better, you're going to do better. So you're not going to go back over that same road with those people. But what you're going to do is release in this meditation and moving forward the differences between you and that person so that you can move forward and be clear and willing to unite and pool your resources. All right. So we're going to do a 2-minute meditation and let's start now. I want you to start with taking a deep breath. Just deep, deep, deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And just relax. Any fires that are burning, any fires of envy, any fires of jealousy, any fires of hatred, just pour some water on them. Pour some water on them. Any fears you have about doing business with someone who looks like you, about uniting, just let them go. Have the courage to let them go. Have the confidence to know that you know better and you're not going to fall into any traps. Deep breath in and deep breath out. If you know within your own spirit that you are overly critical of anything Black, if you are constantly criticizing anything or anyone Black, if you put negative energy, negative thoughts, and you discriminate and marginalize, and you don't have to be of the opposite color to do that, let all that go right now. Recognize that you're missing out on tremendous, amazing business opportunities when you do that. All right, we're going to stop now. Just take a deep breath and come back to yourself. That was a quick and very short meditation. I could have went on in that subject. I was just getting into a groove. I could have went in for about 10 minutes, but that's okay. But let's start doing that. Let's start thinking about that. Let's start praying about unity. And some people have asked me, well, if we unite, if we pool our resources, what's that going to do? It's easy now, right? It's actually easier now to me to explain it because we live in a data-driven world. And in this data-driven world, and you all have heard me say this before, if you're a friend of the show, I have to break this down for you during the Deca Fest because this is a very, very big part of my journey. Now we have data, okay? Reason why we're able now to begin talking about AI and some of these other things is because there's enough data out there for the artificial intelligence to be able to mimic our behaviors and thought patterns and create a clone, if you will, whether it's a computer clone, whether it's a data clone, to create a clone that thinks like us and behaves like us. Okay. And so with that data, businesses can now rely on that data and predict behaviors. Okay. And so in those behavioral predictions, they're using a set point of data now that is based on how we have conducted ourselves and behavioral patterns of the past. This can be used in warfare, whether it's business warfare, physical warfare, you name it, military warfare, or it can just be used as control. And so that data, since we have never united and we've never been pooling our resources, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later, since we've never done that, then most of the business models that are existing today that is relying on that data, that behavior tracking, are going to create and make moves that are contingent on us not being unified and on us not pooling our resources. And so if we begin to do those two things in our communities, in our subgroups, we start to do that, we will change an algorithm that's going to take a while for it to respond. And in that time before it responds, we can win. We can make tremendous gains within an industry if we find a way to unite, whether it's entertainment, whether it's politics, whether it's, restaurant owners or financial advisors or business consultants or sororities or fraternities or Divine Nine or Muslims, Catholics, whatever. That unity will make a difference. That unity will defeat that algorithm in that very moment. And it's a behavioral pattern that if we study it, we can win. What do I mean by that? If the powers that be if the colonizers and the colonizers' agents, okay, cannot divide and destroy, they can't win. If they cannot divide and destroy, they cannot win. What in the world does that mean? What that means is that if, as a unified group, we find a way to defy division and defy their destruction, they can't win. See, we're doing the right thing when it comes to being creative. See, when you keep being creative and keep reinventing yourself, it's hard for somebody to catch you because they can't hook into the universe based on who you are, your DNA, your epigenetics, your community, where you come from. They can't hook into that and create on the level that you can. But what they can do is divide you, isolate you, separate you from your community, from like-minded people, keep you isolated and by yourself. And when they do that, they can then come in and destroy. It's just divide and conquer. If we can prevent them from doing that, now this is true in business, isn't true in anything. So don't get all worked up if you're looking at this feeling like this is something crazy, but I'm going to give you a business strategy. If you and several other business owners begin to pool your resources, meaning you exchange resources, you do a lot of partnerships and collaborations with other businesses, it becomes very, very difficult to divide and conquer if you make a conscious decision that that's not going to be the case. A conscious decision. See, part of our problem in business goes back to this rugged individualism. We over here by ourselves, suffering in silence, doing what we do, struggling, upset, mad. But if you come on into a community, come on into a circle of people, start having conversations with those people, even if those people never give you one customer, the spirit of that unity is going to change you. It's going to relieve you from some stress. It's going to calm down your central nervous system. And when you go back to your business, you're going to be able to see and think more clearly. But if you're just going on and on and on, day after day, week after week, you by yourself, you there, you on the phone, you panicking, you trying to figure out what I can do, and you never commune with somebody who is like-minded or somebody who has a mindset that is slightly more advanced than you in a particular field, or somebody that has a mindset that you can learn from and get ideas from, you're going to constantly be on that hamster wheel. And then you're going to look up and these people who are over here unifying, people who are a part of a community are going to do better than you as a rugged individual. And you may not believe that, but because you've gotten so used to being by yourself that it feels good. You feel like, look, ain't nobody got me but me. I got to do what I got to do. Okay, that may very well be true. It ain't nobody but you, God, and the devil that really exists. But okay. But being part of a community, accessing the divine energy from a community. I don't care how raggedy you think the community is. Accessing, there's something divine in that community energy that if you are in the right space, you can access and it can help you to win. It's the community piece. What about pooling resources? What about collaborations? I love taking two businesses that nobody would have thought they should collaborate and having them to collaborate. I love taking an ice cream shop and a bakery and going, y'all know what? Let's do an event. Let's do a block party. Let's get busy. Let's have some fun. You'd be surprised at what it's going to do and the energy and how you're going to make your customers feel, especially in our community. This is why things like expos and festivals and block parties do so well in places like Chicago, because it's a contagious, attractive, magnetic energy. And most of those businesses continue to win after those events. So I'm telling you right now, if you're sitting up somewhere at home by yourself, somewhere in your office by yourself, just constantly stressing over and over and over again about how you're going to do this and how you're going to do that, you can use deceptive intelligence to say, well, I just need time to figure it out. That's cool. But you ain't figuring it out 24 hours a day. What you have to do is begin to go with your community. Find a tribe, find a community, and get with those people, network with those people. It's going to make a difference. You wondering why you're depressed? And I've been here. When you find yourself isolated and then you go into a depression, a functional depression that you don't even know you're in, it's real. You'll be surprised at how you stunt your growth, and how you pinch yourself off from your abundance. But when you come back in community, when you come back in connection with people, whether it's family, whether it's a block, whatever the organization is, come back in community. It makes a huge difference. I learned this very early on in my career. I didn't pledge or anything like that. I didn't feel like at that time that I needed that. I felt like I needed to buckle down and study and do what I needed to do. And I just wasn't attracted to the organizations in that way. I thought that they did really great for some people, and I felt like it was really admirable, but it just wasn't something that I felt like was for me. When I graduated and shortly thereafter came into the Nation of Islam, that became my community. And so when Allah started moving me around the world and I started traveling and I wasn't able to be a part of that community, that nurtured me. Even though it wasn't a perfect community, there was something about being able to siphon off that energy of the community that fueled me. And I craved it for a long time. And I used to get nervous, almost afraid. Like I remember one time I was in, I don't know, somewhere, maybe China or something. China would be a place where I would feel that. Because when I would be in Africa or even in Italy, I felt that community. I felt it. I felt the love. I felt the love of community, of unity, of pooling my resources. I was okay with that. And I even felt it in South Korea, but in China, I just didn't feel it. I felt it in Vietnam, but that part of Asia, I just didn't. It was rough. I felt it in South America. I felt it in Central America, but I didn't feel it in China for whatever reason. And I got nervous because there was something else that I was picking up that was in the air and in the energy that I couldn't reconcile. And I remember when we went from Beijing to Seoul. This was on a healthcare mission this time. And when we landed, the tour guide, I get, or the ambassador that was with us said, we're going to let you all go up to your rooms, wash the china off of you, and come back down for dinner. And those words, as I was riding the elevator and going into my room and getting settled and taking a shower, getting ready for dinner, it just kept resonating with me. Like, what are they saying? But there was something that I felt there that felt very pinched off from the community energy that is so important to me. Very pinched off. And it just taught me something in that moment. I learned something about, and then let me say it this way. In different parts of Africa, there's a different community vibration. And there was some that I resonated with more than others in some countries. But what it taught me, or just reminded me of the importance of pooling our resources. I was doing a South African, like, kind of Shark Tank type of show. Well, no, was that South? Yeah. Yeah. I did two of them. In Nigeria and in South Africa. And so in South Africa, all the people who came with businesses came, and their big ask was, I want money. They all wanted somebody to invest in them. There was a group of women business owners. And I said to them, I will be completely honest with you. I've been in business a long time. And I've never one time had somebody walk up to me and say, here's a chunk of money, now go start your business. Not saying it doesn't exist, but not one time. I had to figure out, how do I get enough money? How do I, invest money and keep flipping it or keep reinvesting? I've never gotten a loan on a big project until the end of the project. So, like, to finish. So I was explaining to them, I said, there's enough of you. And I put them together, and they did not like this. I said, you need marketing, because you're asking me for money for marketing. You're saying you want to have an investor come and give you money for marketing. Okay. And I said, so here's your sister over here with a marketing company. What services can you offer her in exchange for marketing? Because she's here looking for accounting. She just asked me to find her an investor that would help her with accounting. And I said, why don't you all barter, swap services, pool your resources, and come together, create these partnerships, and then you have what you need. Then you can go and make the money that you need. I'm not saying it don't exist. There's a lot of people out here with relationships with VC firms and stuff like that. That has just not been the way that Allah has built me as an entrepreneur. And so in South Africa, there was a lot of this. I want the white man to give me something, invest in me. I'm here. We were prepping them for their pitches, and all of them, I want money for this, I want money for that. If you ask them what their sales are, how they're doing, they didn't have any. And I thought it was interesting because it was in a country where they're more dependent upon the system. And so this concept of asking for money and begging for money and really not even wanting to talk to anybody black. That's how serious it was. They was like, where's the white people? Because that's who they look at has the money. But let me give you a different thing. I did the same event in Lagos, Nigeria. And if you've ever been to Lagos, Lagos is just bustling with entrepreneurship. Folks is hustling and making money and doing stuff everywhere. They are not thinking about, I can't say they're not thinking about, but they don't appear to be dependent upon whether or not somebody white gives them some money. And when the pitches, well, first off, when the business people in Nigeria came to us, they were very, very, very advanced products and services. I was sitting there like, you know what, sister, can you go to the side? Because I want to buy that outfit from you. And oh, brother, step right here. I remember, but matter of fact, I think I bought this in Benin. But I was just like, whoa, as opposed to when I was in South Africa, you can't even find anything African that ain't made in China. So all the African stuff says made in China. But when I was in that Nigeria, Benin region, there's a lot of unique entrepreneurs that are doing very different, a lot of different things, a lot of creativity. Yeah, it's a lot of hustling and it's a lot of stuff that ain't too savory going on either. But what I noticed and what I realized was this level of mental independence and fortitude that was contagious. Now, I can't say that the unity was there a lot, but there was a lot of pooling of resources and things like that. A lot of that. And different countries are different. It's just, we're all at different stages of development. And I'm not trying to down South Africa. It's just different, in terms of where they are in their evolutionary development as they strive to do for self. Nigeria is in a different space. Ghana's in a different space. I worry about Ghana a lot because I don't want Ghana to become like Liberia. This is no shade. But what happens is when we don't clean ourselves up first and get our morals together, and we decide we're going to go to these other countries, whether it's Belize or South Africa or wherever, Ghana, wherever we're calling ourselves going, if we don't clean ourselves up, what we do is we take all this devilishment, all of this negativity, all this drama, all these behaviors, all these predatory business models with us. And because we're coming in the name of being Americans and we got a little cash to throw around, it's very easy for that mindset to become dominant. When the U.S. established their partnership with Liberia and a lot of freed slaves began to go to Liberia, they didn't go there as civilized people. They went there as dark-skinned white people who were mimicking the slave owner and the U.S. system of that time. And they took that with them to Liberia. So the engineering and technology is there. When you look at the cities, they look very American in terms of the sewer system, but then they look like they're war-torn at the same time. Why? A lot of that is because, and I spent time there and we had conversations, there was so much Americanized corruption in the way that they handle each other that for me, it was scary, but it was the thing that really fueled me to say, you know what, let me go back and try to see what I can do to shine a light on these behaviors for entrepreneurs here in America, Black entrepreneurs, so that we don't disperse and go to these countries and bring all of this ratchetness with us and corrupt those places. And this is real talk. I know it's a difficult conversation. A lot of us don't want to hear about it. So as we're uniting and pooling our resources, we have to think about becoming conscious entrepreneurs. We have to become better people. We have to work on becoming civilized leaders. So this is why I worry about Ghana. Because when I hear about us going there at the invitation of our family who's saying, come home, be citizens. And we go over there and open up strip clubs. We already got this nasty sexual subculture over here in America in our community that we don't address. But you go over there and you open up a strip club, I have a problem with that. Because let's say you're in the city and you got girls from the village whose families, people in the city might be professional. They may be, computer techs and accountants and architects and customer service, and they work jobs, okay? Jobs that we're familiar with. But what about that girl from the village whose entire village don't make $1,000 a year? Here you come with a strip club and you tell her, well, if you take your clothes off, you can make $1,000 a night. What you think many of them are going to do? And then what happens? All this money, we become the king, we become the queen, we doing all of that. And now we've corrupted a society and we're putting them in a position to become exactly like the society that we ran away from. So now on that, you can't blame the white man. You got to blame yourself because you know better. So that's why I worry about us and our exodus to certain countries where there's a certain level of innocence. We don't realize this beast that we're living in is like no other. And they got their own problems. They got their own corruption. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we're taking stuff from hell and bringing it to heaven. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we should not be ambassadors of ratchetness as we move around the world. We should be ambassadors of civilization, of high society, of proper handling of people, of supreme wisdom. That's what people should see when we land in other places. People should say, wow, it's something about her, something about him. When I would travel, I was so on my shit, excuse my language, that people would ask me, wait, where are you from? Who are you? Because I'm just like, I'm not going to be wearing Muhammad. I'm not going to be going over there. And then they say, oh, that's one of, Elijah, Muhammad, and Farrakhan's people. When they see me, they're going to be like, man, I kind of think I want to get to know them a little bit better because you are amazing. That was my goal. And so when we start talking about high society and civilized leaders, as you all are putting in the chat, there's a methodology to that. There's a presentation that goes along with that. There's a vibration that goes along with that. There's a magnetism that goes along with studying and praying and asking Allah to be with you in those situations. And what would make us stronger when we go over there, will help us, is building our communities here. And I know that that's a statement that goes over a lot of people's head, but just start with your small group. You probably got 5 or 10 people that you hang with, that you know, whether they family members. Create some kind of unity among them. Do a dinner once a month. Do a phone call. Set up a group chat. Create some sense of community for yourself that you can go and plug into when you start to struggle, and when you need something. That's how important unity and pooling your resources are. It's not enough for you to sit at home and think about it all day. You got to go and do it. You got to go and participate in some stuff. And I know people who just are not comfortable at all with anything community. Maybe unless it's a party, they're going to go kick it. But if you tell them, hey, so-and-so's having an event, they won't go. They're not interested. But I'm telling you, and here's the other thing. Most of us are dealing with trauma when it comes to community because we've allowed the behaviors of a few people in the community to impact our faith. I'm going to say that again. Most of us are going through trauma because we've allowed the behaviors of a few people, one person or a couple people in the community to impact our faith. And so now when we saying, well, I do everything except I don't unite, I don't pool resources, I don't mess with them niggas. Well, that's sorry. That's part of it. That's part of it. But we have to stop allowing the behaviors of one or two people to impact our faith. And you know how you stop that? By doing for self. Y'all didn't think I was going to say that. Y'all thought it was going to be pray, go, yeah, seek refuge. All of that's important. Very, very important. But when you're doing for self, you're so busy. You got so many new goals and so many things going on. You don't care about them. You ain't thinking about them. You done forgot why you stopped talking to them. They might come up to you and still be holding on to a grudge, still got an attitude towards you, still acting stank. And then if you've been busy, if you're doing for self, you're like, wait, what? I know people still mad over stuff that happened 20, 25 years ago. You should be so goal driven and be so busy that you don't even recognize that person. You can speak to them and keep on rolling. And then say, oh, dang, was that so-and-so? Oh, hey. Yeah, hey, girl. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Stop it. We have to begin to be so busy in our self-improvement process that other folks' behaviors literally don't even matter. You know why? Because when you're healing and you're working on doing for self, you just start adjusting your boundaries. Maybe you fell out with that person years ago because you all were friends and you feel like there was some level of betrayal. You're not getting ready to get back in that situation with that person. Some people are just mean and evil. Well, you got your boundaries in check. You ain't got to deal with that person. You ain't got to tolerate what you used to tolerate from that person. So what I'm addressing is the traumas that are preventing us from uniting and pooling our resources. That's what I'm addressing. Because what we don't want, which we really should be there now, but what we really don't want is when you have certain levels of government leadership and certain levels of hatred spewed at you, or even you're being treated a certain way, oh, you unite real quick. Real quick. If somebody says, like they did the Asians, well, y'all can't open no businesses over here. Y'all can only go down there to the hood. Guess what? I don't care if the Koreans and the Chinese don't like each other, the Vietnamese and the Japanese don't like each other. They done went in the hood and got themselves together. And now they got Asian American organizations. And, you know, everybody in Chinatown ain't Chinese. But they were told, can't come out here to this neighborhood. Now it's a little bit better, but for the most part, when they first started to immigrate here, they weren't allowed to open up businesses in other spaces. Now, of course, they don't have the trauma and all these things that we're dealing with, but they got themselves together and unified real quick. You see what happened in Florida? Y'all should Google this. I don't know if you all know that a lot of real estate now in America is being purchased, especially in major cities, purchased by Chinese citizens, especially like New York and places like that. And Florida did something that to me is very racist, and it's a precedent, and that they said that Chinese people can't participate in certain aspects of real estate. Look it up. Look it up. They've been fighting this back and forth in court, where the government of Florida said that if you are a Chinese national, you can't purchase real estate down there. And some people would shrug that off and say, okay, well, that ain't got nothing to do with us. No. Because what they do is they introduce these small little things, and it's real easy then at that point to go, we don't want y'all either. Look at what's happening with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. You saw Ford Motor Company just ended their DEI program. Somebody else I was just reading about, but there's several companies and they're ending it. And then I saw Vice President Kamala Harris talking about community banks and doing something special for people in urban communities who want to open up businesses. But I bet you if she says that it's a Black business, then those DEI people going to then come and sue them, because that's what they've been doing. Just look it up. I think I may have posted some things like that. I think I posted something from FSIC, which is a good organization. You guys can go. It's the Financial Services Inclusion Coalition, I think, FSIC. And one of the founders is a friend of mine, Kevin Kimball. He has a lot of data out there on his website about that. When that stuff start happening, you're going to remember the words of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Unite, pool your resources, stop all this wanton criticism. First, love yourself, accept yourself, and be yourself. And you're going to be wondering, looking for them taglines. When they start telling you, you can't come over here, you can't open no business over there. A lot of us are living in areas that are looking to restrict us from being in business in those areas. How are we going to deal with that? We got to create community. And so one of the conversations that I was having with Rhymefest yesterday, we was talking about kind of like I was sharing. I actually had the same conversation with Minister Ishmael. Let's bring people together. Let's start buying real estate together. Let's start living near each other so that it makes it easier for us to support one another, open up businesses together, address school board issues together, community safety issues together, and be together more. And it'll be much easier for us to be able to be successful. So for day 7 of the Sajdah Deca Fest, unity and pooling your resources is very important to me. And it's something that I've used as the foundation of my life. And any of you who know me, if you got a business, if you're trying to do something, I'm usually one of the first ones in line to say, what can I do to help? How can I support? And I've done that even without much support for most of the things that I've done. But Allah knows that I've tried my best to be supportive and to unite and to pool my resources with my family members in my community, because it's just that important. And even when I was sitting there with businesses and projects that I was working on and wasn't nobody lifting a finger, was a lot of talk, I said, I'm gonna still follow instructions. And so I say that because there's many of you out there who are saying, well, ain't nobody help me. I had to get it out the mud myself. But we can't keep getting it out the mud ourselves. You can pull somebody out of the mud. You can stop them from slipping in the mud. Stop somebody, if they're in the dirt, stop somebody from pouring water on the mud. You can do something. And in turn, being able to help that person, you're going to help yourself. Because what you're going to do is not only want for your brother or sister what you want for yourself, but in turn, by you helping somebody else, you're going to drop some of the animosity and the trauma that is blocking you from making money. I was having this conversation the other day with a lot of people, and I said, why is it that we have a lot of spiritual Black men who are unable to make money for themselves? They're unable to make money at the level for themselves that they need. And a lot of that is the trauma that is standing in their way. And so we have to, and the easiest way to prevent a situation from causing trauma is to have a loving support system. And the easiest way to get over a trauma is to have a loving support system. And so I would say to those brothers, if you do have a loving support system, don't take it for granted. Turn around and be a loving support system for somebody else. Because when brothers are supporting brothers, you see the success. I see brothers doing things where they're having talks in barbershops and just kind of working together and having their own community meetings and community forums just to help deal with some of the trauma that they go through just being a Black man in America today. And that is real. And if we don't start doing that, then we're going to find that more and more and more our Black men are going to not be able, they're going to struggle with earning. And we don't want that. We don't want that as sisters. We don't want that as wives. We don't want that as mothers. We don't want that as aunties. We don't want that as nieces. We don't want that as daughters. We don't want that as friends. We don't want that as sisters. We don't want that. We want to see you grow and thrive and survive. And it's going to be very important that we help each other work through some of these traumas by being different. If you know that a person's been dogged out in business by somebody, don't you come along and dog them. Don't you come along and steal from them. Don't you come along and hurt them. Be different. Say, you know what, sis? You know what, brother? I'm here to help. I'm here to support. I don't want anything from you. I don't want anything. I'm going to help. And that will help to heal people. It's just small little acts like that we can do. And I'll say this last thing to our brothers who are almost always booking sessions with me and saying, hey, I am struggling to make money. And we start unraveling all the trauma and talking, and that's some of the things that's happening. The ego. Understand this. We are at war. And to our sisters too. We are at war. And when you are in a war type situation, a lot of the roles may change. Because in a war type situation, it might be that you can go out and get some bread, but I can't. Or I can go out and get some milk, but you can't. But we can't sit there and not have bread and milk because you tripping because I can go get the milk. And I can't be tripping because you can go get the bread. We have to come together and say, okay, what can you do at this moment? What can you do? What are you able to do? We know who you are, but allow us to be able to do what it is that we can do in this moment. Don't say because I'm a man, I don't want you doing X, Y, Z. Okay. If I'm not going to do anything that's immoral, and if you can't earn a paycheck, and I'm saying this because I've had a lot of brothers come and coach, and that I'm coaching, you can't go to work. You've had issues in your past. You might be a returning citizen. You can't go work. Well, somebody got to work in the house. We at war. Somebody got to work while you working on your business. So you might have to pick the children up from school and work on your business during the day while I go work at the hospital, per se. Somebody got to work, though. You can't come in with an iron fist and go, I don't want you to work, but you ain't working either. Then here's the converse is true. Sisters, unfortunately, it would be so easy to be able to say, man, I need a brother that's just going to come and relieve some of this burden. It would be fabulous. We just might not be living in that day and time. That may not come for a minute. Or you may have to find a brother and help him get up on his feet. And I would say, brother, stay loyal. If she helped you become a millionaire, don't leave her for a white woman. I sound like Dr. Umar, don't I? Don't do that. Or don't leave her for somebody, period. But especially don't do it because of a complexion issue. Okay, well, now I done made it. I can go get what I always wanted. Come on, y'all. And sisters, if we are the breadwinner in the family, let's be mindful. Let's be mindful because it's very challenging for him to not be able to make money. It's very difficult. And as long as you are not being abused and hurt, let's try to hang in there. But whatever that looks like in your situation, I'm not trying to give specific scenario advice like that, but however that looks in your situation, think of this. We are at war, and certain gender roles have to change. They may have to morph. And I'm not talking sexually. I'm not talking sexual orientation. I'm talking about your household almost got to be like a team. And things are assigned based on what each person can get out of the world and bring into the community. But you got to realize we are at war. There are a lot of things. It's unfortunate, yes. The white man and gave the black woman jobs and didn't put the black men in jail. That's true. But when you come home from jail, you can't tell the sister she can't work. And you can't work neither. I'm just saying. We can go on and on about that. Anyway, that's just an example of family community, how we have to learn to come together. So just like when we come together as a larger or broader community, and there are different ones of us that bring different talents and skills to the table, we have to think about that within our family structure as well. And it's going to be a dance to maintain our spiritual structure based on our nature, but we still have to be mindful. We still have to be mindful. All right. Okay, family. I'm going to go. I've gone overtime. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Sister Aurelia, Brother Abdul Alim, and sorry, Muhammad is in the house. He said, praise be to Allah. Let's see. Owner financing real estate and land. Welcome, welcome. Sister Betty, welcome. Brother Jamil, welcome, welcome, welcome. Nubia Latifa, welcome. Servant Nasir, welcome, welcome. Okay, if I missed you, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to go because I don't want to keep y'all long this morning. Tomorrow morning for day 8 of the Sajdah Deca Fest, we are going to be talking about the power of creativity. All right. Sister Amira here. She said, good morning, Auntie Dale. That's my niecey Pooh right there. Okay. May Allah bless each and every one of you. Support the network. Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises. Remember the flow. Don't just come and sit and take and just fill up your fat belly and not do anything. I don't care if you can't Cash App anything but $1, $5, $10, $20, $25, $100. It's all about the flow. It's all about the flow. Don't just come to somebody's house and eat and not bring something and not give something. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all very much.